Good afternoon and welcome to this month's webinar, People and Team Building, Part 2, Nurturing Employee Relationships and Team Success. So today's webinar is presented by North Star Strategic Partners. So first, who is North Star? North Star is a team of business strategies focused on helping your business increase profits. We ask the questions that you may not think to ask and examine the issues that may not always be at a surface level. North Star has helped numerous customers achieve, grow, and maintain prosperous businesses over the years. So our speaker for today is Wendy Roberts. Wendy prides herself on creating winning strategies while helping her customers maximize their resources and their profits. As a CPA, she knows her way around corporate financials. As a former corporate finance executive and startup CFO, Wendy offers a broad insight into finding solutions to help her customers achieve exceptional growth and financial success. She has a bachelor's degree in accounting from Indiana University, MBA courses at University of Tampa, and years of experience counseling customers on financial and profitable success. Wendy is a member of Audit Committee and a published author. She is originally from the Midwest and was raised in a working-class family. One of her most favorite and cherished hobbies is cycling. She never fails to miss a weekend cycling in the Bay Area. So all questions will be answered towards the end of the webinar, and a recording will be sent to the email addresses you used to register. So let's hear it from Wendy.
Thank you, Shai, and thank you everyone for joining our webinar today. We're going to be talking about the fourth point of focus. It's a two-part series, so really excited to talk to you about that and how you can implement that into your business. And also a big shout out to all the cyclists out there, wherever you are. It is a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to enjoy the Bay Area here, so I hope that you are doing that as well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the 4 points of focus. We have discussed this throughout the year, so I wanted to try to give you a little bit of a reminder of each of the 4 points of focus, and then we're going to dive into the fourth point, which is people and team building. So let's talk about what is the 4 points of focus and why is it important. Our strategy here is that you can build a wonderful company, not just a good company, but a great company, incorporating these 4 key elements into your business. It's a holistic approach. So the first one is up there in the upper left-hand corner. It's marketing strategies. It's red for a reason because of that bullseye. You want to find your target customer. Who is it that you need to talk to? That's very, very important. And if you want to drive sales, you've got to be able to talk to that customer so it generates you leads so you can grow your company. The second element that's key to growing a beautiful company is the green that's in the upper right-hand corner. That means money, profit, cash flow management systems, being able to position your company both in a tax advantage, but also with a financial structure advantage so that you can capitalize on the benefits that are out there to maximize your financial area. So again, green for money. In the lower left-hand corner is the orange for operational excellence. Think optimization for your systems, for your processes. This is very important if you ever want to be able to drive more bottom line, number one. And number two, if you're thinking about exiting at some point in the future, this is very, very important for you and the buyer because they will put more value on your company if you have your systems optimized. And the last one that we're going to talk about today is people and team building. It's the blue in the lower right-hand corner. That's trust. Having people in your company in the right seat, in the right job, and moving together with you on the vision of your company. So, as I mentioned, we want to be able to create a wonderful company. You want to create a company of value. So, in order to create that company of value, you have to have a strategic approach. And once you develop that strategic approach, in our simulation here, it's the 4 points of focus. Creating that company of value around profitability, having a profit plan, a way to make money for each 4 of those quadrants that we just talked about. The second is to create sustained profit for your business. It doesn't matter if you have profit in 1 month, but you're losing money the next month. That's not sustainable over the long term. And you have to have sustainability so you can take the profits from your business and flow it back into your company so you can scale it. So when you look at all 3 of these elements, a profitability plan, sustainability, sustaining your business over a period of time with profit to scale your business so you drive more value when you're ready to exit. That's really the key about creating a company of value: profitability, sustainability, and scalability. So what does this all mean? If you read our book, we'll talk about the magic formula. So these 4 key elements build upon each other. Think of this wheel. Think about how they all interact back and forth. And I think we'll connect some dots today with the people and team building and the operations. So when you look at the marketing piece, your marketing success in this particular pillar, creating a profitability plan that will bring you the leads that you need to have in order to generate the sales that create that revenue for your financial success. So that's the green. So moving from your marketing to generate those leads to create revenue for your business. As you are optimizing your business through your taxation, through going through your cash flow management, you're optimizing your operational success. And that means systems as well as the processes that you have humans doing. And so as we optimize our success within our operational focus key point, we then build a strong team so that we then can create that winning strategy where we create a holistic approach for your company. If you think about it, if you're able to create a company where you are achieving at least 80% or higher on each of these quadrants, you will build a very profitable company. So let's talk about what that creates is your success. Your success, creating those 4 key elements, will build you not just a good company, but a great company. So let's talk about the 4th point of focus. We just went over those. People and team building. So why is this important? It's very important for your team to understand what's the mission of the company. Where do you want to take this company? It's you as the CEO or the business owner. You're establishing the tone at the top. So if you want to have people engaged in your business, you have to have creating a culture that will be able to bring them together and help you accomplish the mission that you want to have for your company. So one of those strategies is holding regular team meetings. If you're not doing a weekly meeting, do think about it. Even if it's 30 minutes, even if it's, that 30 minutes that you can talk about where you get updates. But having a regular team meeting is super important. creating collaboration platforms or a company intranet, such as Microsoft Teams or Slack. There's several different options out there for you to explore. But the idea is to be able to have people talking back and forth. And this doesn't really matter whether you have a remote locations where people are working from home or if you have people in the office. It applies to both, and probably more so if you have people working from home. The next is to use email and instant messaging. There are various options out there for you to explore that. And probably the biggest one to create that trust and rapport is to encourage face-to-face meetings. That communication, now it may not be all the time. Again, you might have people working from home, and that's okay. But if they have the opportunity to be able to meet face-to-face, I oftentimes recommend that because it does help create that collaborative environment. So why are interpersonal relationships in your company so important? It's because it establishes a company culture. It's again that tone at the top. How do you want your people to interact? Now, as you may be a solopreneur right now on this webinar, and that's okay. At one point, your aspiration may be, I want to build a team. Most people want to do that. You may be a business owner that has 2 or 3 employees, but you want to go to 10, 15, 20. That's okay. Or you might already be a company that has 20, 30, 40 people. As you grow in the size of your company, your company culture will change as well. And so that will help you then develop the sites, the focus, the places where you want to take your company. It's the tone at the top. Your company culture will have a big impact on how successful you are in your business. Now, there are also personality types of employees. If you've ever worked in a corporate environment or you've worked for another company, you know, or maybe even your own company, you know there's different personality types. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But it's important to understand them. Understand your employees' strengths and weaknesses and build around those strengths so that you have a very collaborative working environment. And another thing, too, that affects our interpersonal relationships is the way your company is structured. Is it more flat or is it more hierarchical, like in a large corporation? So depending on how you structure your company, it will dictate how you do your interpersonal relationships. Again, tone at the top is very, very important. So what happens when you have a positive relationship between employees? And if you've been in business for any long period of time, we all know what it feels like to have a positive relationship and negative or toxic relationships. Most of us want to go with positive. I'll give you an example. I was working as a consultant for a large company here in the Bay Area, and they were located outside of the Santa Cruz area. And when the first day that I walked in there, the very first day to report as a consultant, I could feel the energy, the positive energy. It was remarkable. That company was so well run. And the bottom line showed it. They were a publicly traded company, but their bottom line and their share price definitely showed how well they managed their employees and the positive relationships. By contrast, I'm sure you've been in different companies where the positive energy is not there, and it maybe drags you down or drags down employee morale. So having a positive relationship between your employees is super important. It increases productivity for you as the business owner. If they're happy, they'll be engaged. Also, we talked about morale, the low turnover. The more they feel part of a company, the more they feel positive that their actions give to the company, the more likely there's going to be a less turnover rate for your company. Now think about what the job market is like right now. We have a very, very low unemployment rate. Now I know we hear about the big companies laying off, but the vast majority of employees around the United States work for small business owners like you and me. So having a long-term long way in retaining that talent so that you have trust in those employees and your customers have trust in those employees and they will refer you. Another area that's really important is when you have positive relationships between your employees, it creates innovation, the sharing of ideas. And it may be something that you didn't even think about, that two of your employees can have said, hey, boss, how would you like to do this? What do you think about doing this? It's that open communication. And you may find that if you do something like that and you're like, I never even thought about that, it could create another revenue stream for you. So the last point here is a greater ability to attract and retain top clients, or sorry, customers, talent that will help your customers or your clients be able to create a competitive advantage. That's key. The longer you have employees working for you, the greater your competitive advantage. So let's talk about how to make personality work for your company, right? What is it? Now, we all know that employees, like we talked about, have different personalities. There's differences in communication styles. Some of them might be introverts, some of them might be an extrovert. The key is you need both in your company. You might have different work styles, such as somebody might be detailed, while somebody else has got the creative mind. You might also have issues around conflict resolution approaches, and that's okay. Because when you incorporate the tone at the top, whether you have somebody who might be aggressive or somebody else is a passive, you have the ability to be able to manage these conflicts in a very constructive way. And then, as I mentioned earlier, when you look at the personality of your employees, look at what are their strengths and their weaknesses. We all have them. We all have strengths and weaknesses. Build your team around those strengths. Hire individuals that support their weaknesses so that, again, you build this wheel of strengths. And where there's weaknesses, you hire somebody to prop up that employee. So let's look at some assessment tools. And you can decide whether or not you want to incorporate this into your business. But it's available, especially the DISC is available out on the internet. It's very affordable. If you're building your team, especially your management team, and you can actually make this a fun exercise. I have actually done this within my companies. The DISC is a way for you to learn about each other so that you know how to work with each other. It's very, very important. Now, different people are different, but again, going back to my comment, you need different people with different personalities in your company. If they're all the same and all think the same way you do, you might not ever discover that additional revenue stream that you didn't think about because someone else was afraid to share an idea, or you didn't have the right people in your corporation or in your company to be able to contribute to share different ideas. So let's talk about the DISC. The first one is dominance. Now that's the D for in the DISC. Those are usually your CEOs, your directors. So if you're a CEO of a company, you probably have a high D. The second one is influence. These are your influential people. These are usually your salespeople. So if you're hiring for somebody to do sales, you may want to give them a DISC test to see if they are a high I. These are your influencers. They influence people. Salespeople tend to influence. People buy on emotion. So think about your salespeople. Are they an introvert, an extrovert? Do they sell based on influence. The next category is the S, which is steadiness. Now, this is an individual who's calm, who's patient, and you need those kinds of people in your company as well to help balance out, especially if you, like myself, I'm a high D. I need people like individuals in my team to balance, to calm, and work with us and work with our customers. So it all creates a wonderful avenue for you to explore. So think of your steadiness being your teachers, your nurses. That's a good example. And then the last one is your compliance or consciousness. These are usually your detailed-oriented individuals. And again, if you have a consulting firm like we do, we want detail-oriented people. So those are usually your accountants, your attorneys, other people who think engineers. Think about somebody who has that very detailed mind. So if you're a CEO, you're more than likely going to be a high D, and that's a good thing. You also want these other people in your organization to help support you and help support the business objectives. So that's the DISC, the assessment tool around DISC. Now, another one, which is widely used, is Myers Briggs. And I've taken the Myers Briggs probably 3 or 4 times in my career. This usually happens maybe at the corporate level, but you can still do this within your company. The Myers Briggs looks at different types of, like, introvert versus extrovert. I'm sure many of you have already heard these terms before. An introvert is more reserved. An extrovert, they tend to be outgoing and social. The next is sensing versus intuition. So someone who's sensing, they're present, they're in the moment. Whereas intuition, they're more futuristic. They look at abstract ideas. And so if you have somebody who's an introvert and say intuition, that could be a very good thing for your company. Thinking versus feeling. So when you're thinking, you're more logical. You have a reasoning process versus feelings where values and emotion are part of that element. So think about if you have somebody in your company that is logical, they have a reasoning, that balances out to somebody who has a feeling. Somebody probably in HR, you want somebody being that where they can be empathetic and on an emotional level. And then the last one is judging versus perceiving. Judging is they are organized, they are planned, right? The other, perceiving, is they're flexible and spontaneous. So when I did this, I was an ENTJ. So an extrovert, intuition, thinking, and judging. So this will help you determine your personalities within your company. So again, you can create the tone at the top, that positive environment, and pull individuals together that can help you succeed and grow a great company. Now, let's switch a little bit to how do you praise employees? And then we're going to get into how you reprimand employees. I think this is very, very important. When I first started being a manager, right, we're not taught this in college, how to praise, how to set expectations, how to reprimand when you need to. We're really not taught that. So it's something that you learn over a period of time. And in my career, it's almost 30 plus years, I had to learn how to do that. There's a great book called The 1 Minute Manager. If you haven't read it, that was my very first managerial book I read. It was recommended by a mentor. And it's really important. It's a very simple read. It's about 100 pages, and it will help you get through a process and educate you. Also, our book, The Only Business Compass You Will Ever Need, we go into a lot more detail on how to praise and how to reprimand employees. So, how to praise. A shout out. Give them a public shout out, especially in those staff meetings, such as in social media was another good way, right? So a shout out in a staff meeting or in social media. A handwritten note. We've forgotten this, I think, with cell phones and et cetera, and mobile apps. But a handwritten note still goes a long way because it's that human connection. Give them a gift card. It doesn't have to be a lot of money, but a gift card, just a small gift, right? Something maybe, at a favorite restaurant that they like. Those are important things that tell them that I'm appreciated. Nominate them for award. This could be external or internal. I was very fortunate, and again, I'll say thank you to the anonymous person who nominated me. But earlier this year, I won an award for the Silicon Valley Business Journal Women of Influence for 2024. So that was an external award. I'm very proud to have been able to receive that award from the Silicon Valley Business Journal. Give them more responsibility. That shows trust. That's important. Showing them more responsibility. And for many of us, I've had to learn this over the years. Delegation is probably the hardest thing you will ever do, especially if you are a CEO or a business owner. Building trust with your employees, delegating, tells them, I trust you. I'm the owner of this company, but I trust you. I'm giving you more responsibility to help you grow in your position. Maybe take them out to lunch or assign them to a special project. And most importantly, which is probably the ultimate show of appreciation, is that you give them a promotion. So when we talk about rewarding employees, how do you set up a system? Right? So you want to define your goals, and they should be around retention and morale. Again, coming back to that positive environment, that positive influence, because the more people feel that they are part of something, they feel like they're part of something, they're part of the team, the more they're going to give back to you as the business owner, and the more profitable your business is going to be. This is all what we're going through here is all about building a profitability plan so that you then have more profit on the bottom line. So defining your goals, then identifying who's your target audience. Is it just a small group of employees? Maybe just a set of engineers if you're a software company? Or is it the entire company? Who is it that's going to be available for these rewards? And then you have to choose which awards you're going to do. How are you going to reward? Is it going to be financial? Is it going to be non-financial? Is it going to be both? So you have to really think about what it is you want to be able to pass on as a feeling of accomplishment to your employees. Next, set clear expectations. What do they need to do in order to receive a reward? What is those expectations? I think maybe some of the hardest things that we have as business owners and CEOs, because we're really super busy, being specific about what's required of an employee in their job, as well as, in this case, what is it that they can do to get that reward. Be consistent throughout. It's very, very important to be consistent. And then evaluate your results. And if you need to revamp it, but evaluate how did it turn out? And then create a new set of goals if you need to. Create a new reward system that's going to benefit you and your employees. Now, as I mentioned before, you need to set expectations for your employees. You need to be able to reward your employees. And then you need to reprimand. And I think for a lot of managers and for a lot of business owners, this is probably the hardest part. If you've ever had to fire somebody the first time, we all know it's probably harder on you as the business owner than it was the employee. So how do you reprimand an employee? First, you want to start out by praising them. Their strengths. We talked about the strengths and weaknesses earlier in this webinar. What are their strengths? Tell them that. So they will be more receptive. Use the I statement, not the you statement. Use the I, such as I'm concerned about XYZ. Whatever the case may be, that takes it back to you. And once you're going through this conversation, be open to feedback. Be open to feedback yourself. It may be that there was a miscommunication between the two of you. And that's a constructive conversation so that you then can better set the expectations so that employee can perform better. So accept feedback, be open to it. The next is very, very important. Choose the right time and the place and put it in a private setting. Do not call somebody out in front of someone else and humiliate them. That never works. If you want to make morale go south, that's the good way to do it. And we all have probably worked for bosses at some point in time in our career that they did that exact thing. They humiliated you somehow in perhaps a staff meeting or something. So I want you to go back to that. Think about how you felt during that experience. Did you want to help that boss or that owner move your company forward? Probably not. So again, think about doing it in a private setting. And the last one is to be very specific and objective. Again, opening up yourself for feedback. Be very specific as to what it is that you were not satisfied with their working a particular job, project, whatever the case may be. So also focus on the behavior, not the person. You focus on the behavior. What is it that you are not happy with? It will be more of a good conversation and less defensive, because you don't want the person defensive. Be respectful and empathetic. Say that more, especially empathy. Empathy is so important when we're dealing with humans. We're not robots. We need to have empathy and respect in the workplace, as well as in other environments. Offer constructive suggestions. Right? You don't want to put them on the defensive. You want to be constructive. You want to be able to help them out. You want to offer a way that you're going to help them accomplish it. And then end the conversation with a positive note. Make sure that you reassure them of the things that we were going to do in order to be able to improve that performance. And most important, I think is so very important, is to follow up. Follow up. Make sure that they're on track. And if they're not, try to reset. And if they are not going to work out in the company, then make that decision and allow them to go to another opportunity where they can excel. So let's talk about some motivational strategies. Now that we've talked about, the positive environment, how to reward employees, how to reprimand when necessary, setting expectations, what are some of the motivational strategies to help you build a great team and, most important, retain them? Retaining employees should be a number one directive of you as a CEO or business owner, because think about how much time it takes to have to ramp up a new employee, especially if you don't have standard operating procedures. Now, again, this is where the orange comes in with your people. Standard operating procedures, if you have them documented, or even flowcharts are a great place to start, gives you an opportunity to be able to give that information to that new employee so they can ramp up. So retaining your employees is even more important when you think about having to create a company that you want to scale. You want to be able to have that stability so that you can then hire on new people, so that the old people, the retained team, can help educate and help move your company forward faster than if you had to start from scratch. So one way to do this, obviously, is salaries and benefits. Very, very important. Benefits today are very key to retaining employees. The next is providing a challenge and meaningful work, allowing people to explore their strengths, their weaknesses, being able to give them opportunities for advancement so that they then can move on. And one of the best things you can do as a boss or as a CEO or a business owner is to be able to, again, trust that employee, assign them to a project in order to be able to see where they go and what they can achieve. And they know that you've got trust in them and you're giving them responsibilities to be able to advance their career, both personally and professionally. Create that positive work environment that we've been talking about over this last few minutes here. Positive environment. Be very supportive. And most important, work-life balance. Work-life balance. Time to spend with family and friends. Going on vacation so that your employees can recharge and come back. Be able to have even better ideas maybe in order to advance your company to that next level. So as many of you know, if you've attended my webinars, I love Simon Sinek. And he said on X, formerly Twitter, leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. So think about that for just a moment. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. So if you take care of those people in your charge, they're going to be committed to you 150%. They're going to give their all. They're going to help you create and achieve that vision that you have for your company. They're going to help you create more profit. By creating the systems that we just went over today, you will have accomplished a profitability plan for the fourth point of focus, which is people and team building. We all know it takes a village to raise a child. It takes the village to create and build a company. So if you like what you heard today, feel free to, the scan actually will go out to Amazon. We go into a lot more depth than what we talked about today. The book is called The Only Business Compass You Will Ever Need. It talks about the 4 points that we talked about today. If you want to reach out to me and have more discussions about any of the 4 points, more than happy to do that. We give a free 30-minute consultation. And if you think you want to maybe move forward with one of our plans that's out there on our website, then please reach out to us. We're more than happy to create an action plan for you where we create those 4 profitability plans using our 4 points of focus strategy as a strategic and advising strategy so that you create that company that you've always wanted and that you deserve. We also create operating systems, operating processes. We see if your systems are all talking to each other. We have a customized cash flow management system that we deploy to all of the customers that we work with. So if you're having trouble with cash or not sure how to manage your cash or don't have a forecast, you don't know how to do any of that, we've created a management system that can help you. We offer on-demand CFO services. As Shai mentioned to you, I'm a startup CFO. I've had a successful exit as a CFO for a startup, a software company that we sold to a public company, as well as I've done some other CFO gigs with blockchain and some other things. So I'm more than happy to talk to you about CFO services if you need that. Also, assessments such as key ratios or key performance indicators. So very important to be able to measure the success of your business. Again, we create those profitability plans around the second point of focus, the financial structure and growth. And last, if you're curious about whether or not you have your worth of your company and you would like to have evaluation, we can be able to create that for you so you know where you stand. It'll give you an opportunity to say, okay, I'm worth this now. I want to be worth this in 5 years. We can help you build a strategy to be able to accomplish that. So here is our contact information, our telephone number, as well as our info@northstar-sp.com, our website, and if you are interested, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. More than happy to connect. So this is our upcoming webinars. We're winding down for the year. We're not going to have webinars in November and December just because everyone's really busy. It's the holiday season. So the next one for September, we're going to talk about strategic exits. Strategic exits, that is chapter 5 in the book, and how you position yourself to be able to do that. Whether or not you are wanting to sell a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, everyone should have a success plan, a succession plan to be able to be successful in an exit. So if you don't have a success plan around how you're going to exit your business, reach out to us or tune into the webinar. We'll be more than happy to give you some details about that. And then the last one, we're going to go over the 4 points of focus again, but I'm also going to put in there things like tax planning, year-end, what you need to do for year-end before the end of 2024 that might be able to help you position yourself better for 2025. As well as might help you save some tax dollars. So with that, I want to say thank you for watching our presentation. We appreciate all of you that attend our webinars. We know your time is valuable, so I really appreciate you spending the time to listen to us here for the last 40 minutes. So we'll open up for questions. If there are any, Shy, I would love to have some questions.
Yep. We do have a couple of questions that came in today. So the first one is, could you provide some tips on how to make regular team meetings more engaging and less of a chore for employees?
Okay, that's a great question because team meetings, staff meetings can be kind of boring. I would have everyone speak about their progress, but also have them perhaps lead. For example, let's say that you want to cover a particular topic. You assign somebody to do the research and cover that particular topic so that they are engaged. And it's not the same person talking all the time. It also can be a training exercise for all of your staff on that particular subject matter. Perhaps maybe an example might be why you don't want to click on an email that or a link that might create malware in your laptop or your server. That's an educational moment that is useful for everyone in your company, no matter the size, because that unfortunately it is out there. There's a lot of bad actors, and you got to be on your toes all the time with people trying to scam. And Shai and I will tell you, we just saw a scam that we alerted to our one of our customers yesterday. It was a scam that that looked very, very IRS official. And it wasn't.
Thank you. The next question is, how can we make sure that the reprimands are seen as fair and helpful rather than punitive?
That's a great question. And it takes a lot of practice, certainly as a manager and as a business owner. I would suggest around being positive, being in a position where you're not putting them on a defensive, because you don't want them to be defensive. You want them to be open. And then you yourself, like I talked about already, being open to feedback, because there may have been a miscommunication. And maybe that person's an introvert and you might be too, and you guys just didn't connect. And it may be a miscommunication that can be easily fixed, and you can come up with a solution how to fix it. So being positive, being open, making suggestions. Remember to use that I statement. I have been concerned about X, and that's you, the boss, so that you then you take it to yourself, and you then try to help that person figure out what was the behavior that you're trying to correct.
Thank you. And last question, we have room for one more.
Uh,
What tangible benefits have businesses seen from fostering positive relationships among employees, and how can I measure these benefits in my own company?
mm, Profit, net profit, because having an engaged team, like I talked about several times in this webinar, having an engaged team is going to create more revenue for you on the bottom line, your net profit, more money you can put back into the company or into your pocket. Now, think about it. Which would you rather have? Would you rather have a team that works together, they're collaborative, it's a positive environment where you are then working together on a vision, a mission of the company, versus having people that just show up to collect a paycheck? They're there just to be there 9 to 5. They don't do any extra work, and all of that extra stuff that could be happening with an engaged team, it all falls back on you to be able to get things done. You're overworked. You can't afford to hire anybody else, and you have people that just show up to collect the paycheck. Which would you rather have? A positive environment or one in which you're just getting by? I think most people, most business owners would want a positive environment. Now, how do you measure that? Key performance indicators. There's all different things we can help you construct so that you can measure your employee. One example is utilization rate. We have tools within North Star that we have built that we can figure out, does your employee cost you money or are they making you money? So those are just some of the tools that we have in our toolkit for North Star to help you figure out how to better manage your employees and are they returning an investment for you for the dollars you're paying them. Hope I
Awesome.
answered
Thank you
that
so
question.
much. You
Yeah.
did. And thanks so much. Those are the questions for today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I know we scheduled an hour. We were trying to keep these about 40 minutes or 45 minutes or less, so we're a little bit over. So thank you everyone for your time spent with us today. We know how much time is valuable to you. So thank you for turning in, and we hope to see you at the next webinar. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.